Good morning, St. Francis. It is Wednesday, June the 30th, 2021, Wednesday of the 13th week in Ordinary Time, the last day of June. Generally, an optional memorial in our church's calendar is just that. It is optional, and you don't really have to celebrate it. But some of them, that even though they are optional, deserve at least mention. And today, on June the 30th, we celebrate the optional memorial of the first martyrs of the church at Rome. Important to remember, because again, our history, as we experience it now, was not originally a history of comfort and peace and acceptance and good living. Remember that our first Christians had to experience a lot of suspicion, distrust, a lot of oppression, a lot of suffering, and nameless bands of individuals who were martyred, experienced martyrdom, most likely were martyred, are what this optional memorial represents today. The fact that it is not easy to be a believer in this world at times, and the world does not always accept what it means to be a believer in this world. And so we remember all of those at the beginning of the Christian movement, of Christianity, who suffered unfortunate martyrdom for the sake of the gospel and their belief. And by their martyrdom, by their deaths, were able to demonstrate the power of faith, the power of the message of Christ in human life that drew other people to enter into the Christian movement themselves. Coming to you again from a different place, because you're running out of places at St. Francis to keep doing over and over again. This is my office at the Catholic Center, and so you get to see it. Most people have not come into the Catholic Center because it really hasn't been open for business, but this is the office where I usually come during the weekdays on different days. On this Wednesday of the 13th week of the year, we hear a continuing story again of Abraham and Sarah. Sarah, who has now had Isaac and wants to get rid of Hagar, the maidservant, who had Ishmael by Abraham because because Sarah considered herself barren. God has erased the sterility of Abraham and the barrenness of Sarah with a son Isaac, and now what to do with Ishmael and Hagar. Again, Sarah wants them gone. Abraham doesn't necessarily want them gone, but Abraham listens to Sarah, and he sends Haggai and Ishmael out into the desert, where certain death awaits. But then again, Hagar prays to God, and God rewards Hagar's faith in him with water for her son to drink from and safety. Again, Ishmael, again, according to Islam, the progeny that begins the non-Jewish race of Semitic peoples. And so the linkage between Islam and Judaism in both Isaac and in Ishmael kind of comes out from this chapter in the book of Genesis. Again, both nations, both peoples being blessed by God, an important thing to remember, especially in this world today. In the gospel itself, we hear Matthew's shortened version of Mark's famous, the possessed man and the demons asking to be thrown into the swine when they are expelled, when they're exorcised from the poor man who was suffering with them. The swine run over a cliff, they die. The swineherds go and tell the town begs Jesus to leave because they can't have such phenomenon and such spectacle happening, and they're quite neat and tidy orderly town. Again, it's more a reading that shows spectacular things happening, kind of special effects things happening. The important thing, again, lots of questions about pork and Judaism and the pork farmers not being Jews, but again, losing their whole business and their whole livelihood because Jesus basically answers the request of these demons to go into the swine. Doesn't Jesus care about the livelihood of the non-Jewish pork farmers and the pork industry? You know, what's going on with all of this? The thing that's at the bottom of this strange little reading on this day is, again, people's acceptance or not acceptance of who and what Jesus is. Because it isn't always just great and wonderful things having Jesus around. Sometimes they are troubling and challenging things that are revealed when Jesus is around. If we don't accept the troubling and the challenging things, we can never accept the grace and the wonder, the beauty that comes in the presence of Christ in our life. Is a both and, not an either or. Because out of the challenges and out of the difficulties sometimes that we experience with the presence of Christ around us, there's the hope for growth in faith, of strengthening of faith, of an opening of wisdom of who and what Christ is for us, and who and what it is God needs us to be in this world. And may the Lord give you peace.